The red dust of Mars swirled around Lisa Wright's boots as she made her way across the excavation site. The morning sun cast long shadows across the rocky terrain, and her breath fogged the inside of her helmet. As commander of Earth Space Command's Mars Research Division, she had seen many strange things during her 15 years on the Red Planet, but nothing like this. The artifact sat half-buried in the rust-colored soil, its smooth metallic surface gleaming despite 50,000 years of Martian dust. It was perfectly rectangular, about the size of a shipping container, and covered in symbols that seemed to shift and change when viewed from different angles. "Dr. Chen, what's the latest?" Lisa asked through her suit's communication system. The scientist working at the base of the artifact looked up, his movements careful in the bulky environmental suit. "Commander, you need to see this," he replied, his voice filled with excitement. "We've managed to activate some kind of holographic interface." Lisa made her way down the slope, her steps measured in the lower gravity. As she approached, a soft blue light emanated from the artifact's surface, coalescing into a three-dimensional image that floated in the air before them. The hologram showed Earth, but not as they knew it. A massive asteroid, easily the size of Manhattan, was heading straight for the planet. Then the image changed. A fleet of sleek ships appeared, surrounding the asteroid. Beams of energy pulsed from the vessels, breaking the celestial body into smaller pieces that burned up harmlessly in Earth's atmosphere. The ships belonged to a species they had never seen before. Their design was organic and flowing, unlike anything humans had created. The hologram shifted again, showing tall, elegant beings with iridescent skin and 4 arms. One of them stepped forward, its voice translating directly into English in their minds. "To the civilization that finds this message, we are the Zenith. 50,000 years ago, we prevented the extinction of all life on your world. Our sensors detected a planet rich with potential, and we could not allow it to be destroyed. We diverted the asteroid that would have ended your world's story before it truly began." Lisa's heart raced as the implications of this message sank in. This wasn't just first contact. This was a debt humanity never knew it owed. The holographic zenith continued. "We leave this marker as a record of our deed, and as a debt to be repaid when your civilization reaches the stars. All advanced species honor their debts, and how you respond to this knowledge will determine your place among the galactic community." The message ended with a series of coordinates and complex mathematical formulae. Lisa stood in stunned silence, her mind racing with the magnitude of this discovery. Back at the Mars base that evening, Lisa sat in her office, drafting her report to Earth Command. The implications were staggering. Humanity had dreamed of first contact for centuries, but no one had imagined it would come like this, with a 50,000-year-old debt marker. "Send the following message to Earth Command. Priority 1, she spoke to her computer. Major discovery at Site 7. Ancient alien artifact confirmed. Evidence of past intervention that saved Earth from extinction. Request immediate diplomatic consultation and additional research teams." As she waited for a response, Lisa pulled up the holographic recordings they had managed to save. The images of the Zenith ships danced before her eyes. Humanity had achieved so much in the past century: colonies on Mars, mining operations in the asteroid belt, the first steps toward interstellar travel. But compared to what she had seen today, their achievements seemed modest. The computer chimed with an incoming message. Earth Command had responded in record time. "Commander Wright, maintain site security. Full research team arriving within 48 hours. United Earth Council convening emergency session. Keep this quiet until further notice." Lisa looked out her window at the Martian sunset, the artifact's silhouette visible in the distance. Tomorrow, everything would change. Humanity would have to prove itself worthy of the sacrifice made by an ancient race they had never known existed. Their response to this debt would shape Earth's future among the stars. She smiled slightly, knowing that humanity's greatest challenge, and perhaps its greatest opportunity, had just begun. The real question wasn't whether they could repay the debt, but how their attempt to do so would change them as a species. 3 months after the discovery on Mars, Ambassador Peter Gardner stood in the United Earth Council chamber, trying to stay calm. The massive room, usually filled with human delegates, now hosted beings from across the galaxy. The air hummed with translation devices as representatives from 12 different species discussed Earth's fate. The Galactic Council had arrived without warning. Their ships appeared in high Earth orbit one morning, their technology easily bypassing humanity's best defense systems. Instead of panic, their arrival brought answers to the questions raised by the Mars discovery. A tall crystalline being named Zar X stood at the center of the chamber. Light rippled through its transparent body as it spoke. The debt marker left by the zenith is valid, it said, its words translated by floating orbs throughout the room. However, we question humanity's ability to honor such an obligation. Peter stepped forward, his diplomatic training kicking in. We understand your doubts, he said, but humanity has always strived to repay its debts. We request information about the zenith and how we might assist them. A serpentine alien with feathered scales laughed, the sound like chimes in the wind. Your species barely has stable fusion power. The zenith are beyond your ability to help. Dr. Susan Martinez watched from her seat near the back of the chamber. As Earth's leading xenorchaeologist, she had spent the past 3 months studying the artifact's data. She knew something the Council didn't, but speaking out of turn could doom Earth's chances. Finally, she couldn't stay quiet any longer. She stood up, her heart pounding. With respect to the Council, she said, her voice stronger than she felt, the artifact contained more than just a debt marker. It held scientific data, information about the zenith themselves. The chamber fell silent. Zar X turned its crystalline form toward her, light refracting through its body. Explain. Susan pulled up her data pad, projecting images into the center of the room. The zenith left us their genetic code, their biological needs, and their technological base levels. They weren't just leaving us a debt. They were leaving us the tools to help them. The serpentine alien slithered forward, its feathers bristling. Impossible. The zenith would not share such information with a primitive species. Peter seized the moment. But they did. They saved our world before we even existed as a species. They believed in our potential even then. Shouldn't you at least give us the chance to prove ourselves now? A new figure entered the chamber, a hologram of a zenith. The elegant four-armed being towered over everyone present. The council members immediately fell silent, showing clear respect. We have monitored your response to our marker, the zenith said, its voice resonating in their minds. Your species' first reaction was not fear of the debt, but curiosity about those you owed. This interests us. Susan stepped closer to the hologram. Your people are in trouble, aren't they? That's why you left us so much information. You knew you might need help someday. The zenith's iridescent skin shimmed. We face extinction. Our sun dies. Our technology cannot save us this time. We left markers on many worlds, but yours was the only civilization to approach the debt with both honor and innovation. Peter felt hope rising in his chest. Tell us how we can help. We may be young, we may be less advanced, but we are ready to repay our debt. The Galactic Council members looked at each other, their previous dismissal turning to curiosity. Zar X spoke again. This is unprecedented. No younger species has ever attempted to aid one of the elder races. Maybe that's exactly why we might succeed, Peter said. We see solutions where others see impossibilities. We're not bound by centuries of knowing what can't be done. The zenith hologram nodded slowly. Perhaps that is exactly what we need. It turned to the council. We accept Earth's offer to repay their debt. Let them try. After all, we once believed in them enough to save their world. As the chamber erupted in discussion, Susan caught Peter's eye and smiled. Humanity had its chance. Now they just had to figure out how to save one of the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy, without any idea. if it was even possible. The Zenith home system stretched out before them on the massive display screen. Commander Lisa Wright stood with Dr. Susan Martinez in the observation deck of the Earthship Pioneer, watching as their vessel approached the dying star. The sun's angry red glow filled the viewport, its unstable surface churning with massive solar flares. "It's worse than we thought," Susan said, checking her readings. "Their sun will go supernova within 8 months." She pointed to a beautiful blue-green planet orbiting the dying star. "That's their homeworld. Population of 12 billion. Lisa pressed her hand against the cool glass of the viewport. How did such an advanced species end up in this situation? A soft chime announced the arrival of their Zenith guide. Ela Ven glided into the room, her 4 arms moving in gentle patterns as she spoke. "We believed we could control nature itself," she said, her skin shifting colors with her emotions. "We tried to stabilize our sun using our most advanced technology. Instead, we only made things worse." The 3 of them watched as another solar flare erupted from the surface of the dying star. The Zenith's planetary shields flickered as they absorbed the blast, growing weaker with each hit. "Your shields won't last much longer," Lisa observed. She turned to face Ela Ven. "Why haven't you evacuated?" "We have nowhere to go," Ela Ven replied, her skin turning a deep blue of sadness. "Our population is too large. No single system in the galaxy has enough suitable planets to support us all. The other species offered to take small groups, but we would have to separate families, break apart our entire civilization." Susan pulled up the data they'd collected. "What about your hibernation technology? The artifact on Mars showed us you have ways to preserve living beings for long periods." "Yes, but we would need thousands of ships to move our people. No fleet that large exists, and we don't have time to build one." Ela Ven's skin rippled with frustration. Lisa walked to the main console and brought up Earth's latest project. "What if we didn't need thousands of ships? What if we only needed 100? Both Susan and Ela Ven moved closer to look at the display. Lisa continued, "On Earth, we've been experimenting with something we call spatial compression fields. It's primitive compared to your technology, but it works on a principle your people never explored." She pulled up the test footage. It showed a small device creating a field that could compress space itself, making a warehouse worth of goods fit into a shipping container without actually shrinking anything inside. "Your people tried to master gravity and energy," Lisa explained. "We looked at space itself. The technology isn't elegant, but it works. We can modify your hibernation pods to fit inside compression fields. Each ship could carry 100 times more people than normal." Ela Ven's skin shifted to bright gold, a sign of hope. This could work, but the power requirements would be enormous. "That's where your technology comes in," Susan added. "If we combine our compression fields with your energy systems, we could maintain the fields long enough to reach the new home we found for your people." Lisa brought up another star system on the display. "It's 50 light-years away. The star is stable, and the system has 3 planets within your habitable requirements. They're not as perfect as your homeworld, but with your terraforming technology, you could make them suitable." "How long would the journey take?" Ela Ven asked. 6 months with our combined technology," Lisa replied. "We've already started modifying Earth's entire space fleet. Every ship we have will help with the evacuation. We've even had volunteers from Mars and the Belt colonies offering their vessels." Ela Ven's skin rippled with complex patterns of emotion. "Your people would do this for us. Risk everything on an untested combination of technologies." Lisa smiled. "You saved our world before we even existed. Now we have a chance to save yours. Besides, humanity has a long history of doing impossible things when people say we can't." "We'll need to work fast," Susan said, checking the latest solar readings. "The sun's deterioration is accelerating." Lisa nodded, her expression determined. "Then we better get started. Humanity has a debt to repay, and we're running out of time." Chief Engineer Kevin Phillips wiped sweat from his forehead as he looked at the massive ship before him. The Zenith vessel stretched nearly a mile long, its organic-looking hull now covered with human-made spatial compression devices. Around him, hundreds of engineers from Earth and Mars worked alongside Zenith technicians, racing against time. "How's the power integration coming along?" he asked through his communicator. The response came from inside the ship, where his team was connecting Earth's compression technology to the Zenith's power systems. "Almost there, Chief," replied Linda Castro, his best power systems expert. "These alien power cores are amazing. They're giving us 10 times the energy we expected." Kevin checked his tablet, reviewing the latest test results. They had already modified 20 ships, but they needed 80 more ready within 2 months. The dying sun wouldn't wait for them to perfect their work. A soft chime announced the arrival of Commander Lisa Wright and their Zenith partner, Eleven. The alien's skin glowed with a mix of colors that Kevin had learned meant both worry and hope. "We need an update, Kevin," Lisa said, her expression serious. "The latest solar readings are worse than expected. We might only have 6 months now, not 8. Kevin led them to the ship's main engineering bay. Holographic displays showed the integration of human and Zenith technology. "We've solved the power problem," he explained. "The real challenge now is the hibernation pods. We can fit them in the compression fields, but the power fluctuations are causing stability issues." Eleven moved her 4 arms in complex patterns, adjusting the holographic display. "Our pods were not designed to operate in compressed space. The neural patterns of our people become unstable." "Show them what we figured out," Linda called out as she climbed down from an access panel. She reached the console and pulled up new data. "We found a solution by accident. Watch this." The display showed 2 wave patterns. "The blue one is the compression field's frequency," Linda explained. "The green is the hibernation pod's neural maintenance pattern. When we sync them perfectly, the stability issues disappear." Kevin nodded. "It's like tuning 2 instruments to play the same note. Once they're in harmony, everything works perfectly. We can fit 10 times more pods in each ship now." Lisa studied the data. "How many people can each ship carry with this configuration?" "About 100,000 per vessel," Kevin replied. "With 100 ships, we can evacuate the entire Zenith population. But every ship has to be perfectly tuned. One mistake could mean disaster." Eleven's skin shifted to bright gold. "You've done the impossible. But how will you maintain the fields for 6 months of travel?" Linda pulled up another diagram. "That's where your power cores help us. They're so efficient that we can maintain the fields indefinitely. We've also added backup systems. If one fails, the others take over automatically." "We're not taking any chances," Kevin added. "Each ship will have triple redundancy on all critical systems. Human and Zenith engineers will work together during the journey, monitoring everything." A loud cheer erupted from the other end of the engineering bay. Kevin's team had successfully activated the first fully integrated system. The compression field hummed to life, and the test pods inside remained perfectly stable. "It works," Linda said, grinning. "We actually did it." Lisa touched the ship's hull gently. "How soon can we begin loading civilians?" "Give us 1 more week of testing," Kevin replied. "Then we can start with the first ship. We'll need to modify the rest of the fleet at the same time we're loading people. It's going to be tight, but we can do it." Eleven's skin rippled with emotion. "When we left that marker on Mars, we never imagined our salvation would come from such unexpected innovation. Your people truly think differently than any species we've encountered. Sometimes the best solutions come from those who don't know something's supposed to be impossible," Kevin said, watching as his team celebrated their success. "Now we just have to do it 99 more times, and do it perfectly every single time." The dying sun flared in the distance, its angry light a constant reminder of their deadline. But for the first time since the project began, they all felt real hope. Humanity's debt would be repaid not with advanced technology, but with determination, creativity, and the willingness to try what no one else would dare. Lieutenant Amy Crawford stood at her post on the bridge of the Earth defense ship Guardian, watching the streams of data flow across her security screens. The evacuation fleet was halfway through loading the Zenith population into the modified ships when her systems lit up with warnings. "Unknown vessels approaching from the outer system," she announced, her fingers moving quickly across the controls. 5 ships, no identification signals. "They're running dark." Commander Lisa Wright's voice came through the communication system. "Can you get a visual?" Amy adjusted the long-range sensors. The image that appeared on the main screen made her blood run cold. The ships had a distinctive purple-black hull design that everyone had learned to fear over the past month. "It's the Nexus Collective," she said. "They're back." The Nexus Collective had first attacked 2 weeks ago, trying to destroy the fleet before the evacuation could begin. They believed the Zenith were too powerful to be allowed to survive, and saw their current crisis as an opportunity to eliminate them forever. "All ships, battle stations," Lisa commanded. "Amy, take charge of fleet defense. Keep them away from the civilian ships." Amy's training kicked in as she coordinated with the other Earth vessels. They had practiced this scenario dozens of times, but this was real. Millions of sleeping Zenith civilians were helpless in their hibernation pods. "Linda, how many civilians are still awake?" Amy asked through her comlink. "About 2 million waiting to board," Linda Castro replied from the loading station. "We need at least 30 more minutes to get them into hibernation." The enemy ships accelerated toward them, weapons charging. Amy had studied their previous attack patterns. The Nexus Collective relied on superior technology and predictable tactics, but they had never faced humans in a real fight before. "All ships, implement Defense Pattern Crawford," Amy ordered. It was a strategy she had developed specifically for this situation. The Earth ships began moving in seemingly random patterns, but she knew better. Each movement was carefully planned to draw enemy fire away from the civilian vessels. The space around them lit up with energy weapons. The Nexus ships fired where they predicted the Earth vessels would be, but Amy's random patterns kept them guessing. Earth ships were less advanced, but they were smaller and more maneuverable. "Guardian taking heavy fire," her tactical officer reported. "Shields at 60%. Amy watched as a Nexus beam grazed their hull. "Reroute power from non-essential systems to the shields." "Linda, how much longer?" 20 minutes. Linda's voice was strained. "We're moving as fast as we can." The battle continued, Earth ships dancing between enemy fire while protecting the evacuation fleet. Amy's hands flew across her console, coordinating the defense. When one ship's shields got low, another would move to protect it while it recovered. Then she noticed something in the enemy's attack pattern. "They're not really trying to destroy us," she said suddenly. "They're hurting us. Everyone break formation now." Her warning came just as the Nexus ships activated their real weapon, a massive energy net designed to trap the entire fleet. But Amy's quick thinking had scattered the Earth ships, creating gaps in the net. "Counter-attack pattern beta," she ordered. "Target their net generators." "Linda, how close?" 5 more minutes. Last group entering hibernation now. The Earth ships struck back, their weapons focusing on specific points of the enemy vessels. The Nexus Collective had expected an easy victory over primitive humans. They hadn't expected tactics they'd never seen before. 3 of the enemy ships lost power to their net generators. The other 2 began to retreat, their strategy ruined. As they fled, Amy received the message she'd been waiting for. "All civilians secured," Linda reported. "Hibernation systems stable. We're ready to begin the journey." The bridge crew cheered, but Amy kept her eyes on her screens. The Nexus Collective would be back, probably with more ships next time. But something had changed today. The humans had proven they could stand against a superior force and win. "Good work, Lieutenant." Lisa's voice came through clearly. "The Galactic Council observers are quite impressed. They didn't expect us to be able to defend against the Collective." Amy finally allowed herself a small smile. "The Nexus Collective made a common mistake, Commander. They assumed less advanced meant less capable. They won't make that mistake again. Captain Daniel Foster stood in the command center of the lead ship Star Voyager, watching over the largest space convoy in galactic history. 100 massive ships moved through space in perfect formation, carrying 12 billion sleeping zenith in their holds. They had been traveling for 3 months, with 3 more to go before reaching their destination. Status report, he called out to his crew. The command center was a mix of human and zenith technology, with both species working side by side. All ships reporting normal power levels, said his first officer, Sarah Wells. Compression fields are stable. Hibernation pods showing green across the fleet. Daniel walked to the main viewport, looking back at the endless line of ships stretching into the distance. Each vessel carried the hopes and dreams of an entire civilization in its hold. The pressure to keep them all safe weighed heavily on his shoulders. "Captain," called out the sensor operator, "we're picking up some strange readings from ship number 47. Daniel moved quickly to the console. The readings showed small power fluctuations in one of the compression field generators. Even a small problem could put thousands of lives at risk. "Get me Chief Engineer Phillips," he ordered. Kevin's face appeared on the screen moments later. "Already on it, Captain," Kevin said, looking tired but alert. "One of the power relays is showing signs of wear. We need to shut it down and replace it." "Can we do that while maintaining the compression field?" Daniel asked. "We'll have to," Kevin replied. "We can't decompress the hold. It would kill everyone inside. I need permission to spacewalk with a repair team." Daniel checked the surrounding space on his sensors. They were passing through a region of high radiation, making any spacewalk extremely dangerous. But they had no choice. "Permission granted," he said, "but you have 1 hour before the radiation levels become lethal. Be careful out there." The next hour was tense as they watched Kevin and his team, in their protective suits, working on the hull of Ship 47. Linda Castro monitored the power levels from her station, ready to make emergency adjustments if needed. 30 minutes left, Sarah announced. The radiation levels were climbing. Kevin's voice crackled over the comm system. "Almost there. The new relay is in place, but it's not accepting the power transfer." Daniel watched the readings getting worse. If they couldn't fix this, they would lose everyone in that section of the ship. Thousands of lives would end before they even knew they were in danger. Then Linda spoke up. "I have an idea. Kevin, what if we reverse the power flow for just a second? Like rebooting a computer." "That's risky," Kevin replied. "If it doesn't work, we could lose the whole field." "But if it does work, the relay will reset itself," Linda insisted. "It's how the Zenith systems are designed to handle power surges." Daniel looked at his Zenith science officer, whom nodded in agreement. "Do it," he ordered. For 1 terrifying second, the power readings dropped to 0. Then the relay sparked to life, power levels returning to normal. Kevin's team quickly finished their work and returned to the ship just as the radiation reached dangerous levels. "All systems stable," Sarah reported, relief clear in her voice. "Ship 47 is back to normal operation." Daniel let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. They had passed another test, but he knew there would be more challenges ahead. Space was vast and unforgiving, and they still had 3 months of journey ahead of them. Later that night, in his quarters, Daniel recorded in his log, Day 93 of Operation Exodus. "Today reminded us that our greatest strength isn't in our technology or our skills, but in our ability to work together and adapt. The Zenith trusted us with their lives, and every day we proved that trust was well placed. 3 more months to go, and we cannot fail. Not when we carry the future of an entire civilization in our hands." The stars streaked by outside his window as the massive fleet continued its journey through space, each ship a testament to humanity's determination to repay its ancient debt, 1 day at a time. The 3 suns of the new Zenith system painted the sky in beautiful colors as the evacuation fleet entered orbit around their destination. Commander Lisa Wright stood with Eleven on the observation deck of the Star Voyager, watching as the massive ships took up their positions around 3 pristine worlds. 6 months of travel, Lisa said softly, and we didn't lose a single ship. Eleven's skin shimmered with joy, all 4 of her arms moving in patterns of celebration. When we left that marker on Mars, we hoped to find friends. Instead, we found saviors. The planets below them were perfect. 2 were already suitable for life, while the 3rd would need only minor adjustments. The system's 3 stable suns promised thousands of years of peace and safety for the Zenith people. Begin wake-up sequence, Lisa ordered through the ship's communication system. Start with essential personnel first, then move to the general population. Over the next few days, the fleet came alive with activity. Zenith engineers and scientists awoke from hibernation, checking their new homes and preparing for the massive task of moving 12 billion people to the surface. On the 3rd day, the Galactic Council arrived. Their ships appeared in formation, led by the crystalline being Xar X. This time, they came not to judge, but to witness. Humanity has achieved what we thought impossible, Xar X announced in the fleet's main communication channel. You have moved an entire civilization across 50 light-years of space. The debt marker is not just repaid, it is exceeded. Peter Gardner, who had worked so hard to convince the council months ago, smiled at Lisa. We didn't do it for the debt, he said. We did it because it was right. The first city locations were being marked on the largest planet. Zenith architects worked alongside human engineers, designing places where both species could live and work together. The Zenith had already announced their planets would always welcome human visitors and settlers. Dr. Susan Martinez watched from her research station as the first groups began moving to the surface. Look at what we've built together, she said to Kevin Phillips, who stood next to her. Their technology and our innovation. Their wisdom and our determination. The Nexus Collective had tried one more attack during the journey, but this time the entire Galactic Council had stood with the human fleet to drive them away. The sight of so many species working together had changed something in galactic politics forever. The Council has a proposal, Xar X announced later that day. We wish to create a new position. Humanity will represent the younger species in our chambers. Your perspective is valuable. Linda Castro, who had worked tirelessly monitoring the hibernation pods during the journey, laughed. A few months ago, they thought we were too primitive to help anyone. Amy Crawford, who had defended the fleet so bravely, nodded. Sometimes the best way to prove yourself is to do what everyone thinks is impossible. As the sun set on the first day of settlement, Lisa found herself walking with Eleven through a meadow on their new world. The air was clean, the gravity was perfect, and the triple suns painted the sky in colors humans had never seen before. My people have a saying, Eleven said, her skin glowing softly in the twilight. The greatest gifts often come from unexpected places. 50,000 years ago, we saved a world that showed promise. Today, that same world saved our entire civilization. Lisa watched as more transport ships descended through the atmosphere, carrying awakened Zenith to their new home. So what happens now? She asked. Now, Eleven's skin rippled with colors of hope and joy. Now we build something new together. Your people have proven that being young doesn't mean being incapable. Being less advanced doesn't mean being less worthy. You've changed how the galaxy sees itself. Above them, the Earth ships prepared for their journey home, but everyone knew this was just the beginning. Humanity had repaid its debt, but they had gained something far more valuable. They had proven that the measure of a civilization isn't in its technology or its age, but in its heart, its creativity, and its willingness to help others. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly what it needed.